Welcome to another edition of Anglican Unscripted. This is episode 177. Gosh, Kevin, you skipped 176. No, for the last three episodes, I've been off audibly on the oral part here. We've been able to number them correctly on the website, but I've always been one short. It is actually episode 177. George is back in the hot seat. We're going to talk about some exciting things today. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger. And today is May 6th, 2015.
You never get the date wrong, which is cool.
It's because, Kevin, I have a calendar right in front of me.
All right, welcome to the Wednesday show, and George and I are going to cover some breaking news. I guess the first breaking news is for the other thing that happens on Sunday. That's football. We just learned that...
No, Kevin, that is what happens on Sunday. For most Episcopalians, the other thing is worship.
That's right. So my apologies. The NFL just did a investigation into last year's NFC AFC game, and they've come down with the impression that they believe that Tom Brady deflated the balls. I know, insert every joke you want right now, but I thought we'd lead with that breaking news. It happened about half an hour ago. I'm up here in the Northeast. It's the biggest news story there could be. However, there's other news as well that George and I should cover.
No, Kevin, this is a major religious story. It tells us time and again that you cannot trust people from New England. They're crooks, they're liars, they're cheats. That's where the Episcopal Church draws its Looney Tune fringe from. And just like the Boston Patriots will cheat to win a football game, so will the liberals deflate the balls of the leaders of the Episcopal Church so that they have an unfair advantage in their games too.
And George speaks a little truth. The last four mayors of our town of Waterbury here in Connecticut are in federal prison, Republican or Democrat. So George and our previous governor Rowland is going to federal prison. There's a lot of crooks here, but the problem is they get caught. Not that they're crooks. There's crooks everywhere. It's just you got to be more careful, and they're not that careful here. Just ask Tom Brady. Okay, on to some other news. We got the list. The list came out late last week with who's going to be the nominees for the next presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church. And George and I kind of did a little, hey, would you help us guest show a couple months ago where we asked you, or a month ago, where we asked you who you thought would be the next presiding bishop. We went through the big nominees, and we were pretty much right on here, George. They got
we named three of the four people. We included three of the four people in the list. Well, the list is Thomas Breidenthal, Bishop of Southern Ohio, Michael Curry, Bishop of North Carolina, Ian Douglas, Bishop of Connecticut, and the one guy that was a surprise was Dabney Smith, Bishop of Southwest Florida, which is Tampa.
Hold on a second. Something's missing here. I didn't hear any female names.
No, you didn't, Kevin.
Breaking news: the Episcopal Church has just become the good old boys club again, kicking out women from...
Well, it could be one of two things.
Yes.
Either, and I'll let our readers decide, either Ford and Faith is...
Viewers.
Yes. We will get used to it in time.
Yes.
Ford and Faith is right.
Yes.
The Episcopal Church has finally come to its senses and has bought Ford and Faith. Bishop Ackerman, Bishop Iker, come on home, folks. It's safe. No more cooties. No more girls in the pulpit. And the Episcopal Church has recognized that a woman could not lead a church. That could be one argument.
That's one argument.
Or Presiding Bishop Catherine Jefferts Shorey so sucked the oxygen out of the other women candidates that they just couldn't even be considered on a short list.
Well, if you look at the other liberal women in the Episcopal Church, I'm thinking of Bonnie Anderson, Gay Jennings, the current leader of the House of Deputies. There were some clashes that went on between Catherine Jefferts Shorey and the House of Deputies, George.
Absolutely. Bishop Jefferts Shorey is a real street fighter, political street fighter, thug with a knife, if you will.
Okay.
And she never really advanced the cause of women as opposed to advancing the cause of the centralization of authority of her office and the liberal sexual agenda. So even though Bonnie Anderson basically follows the same ideological lines as Katharine Jefferts Schori, Katharine Jefferts Schori fought Mrs. Anderson and tried to diminish the authority of the General Convention compared to the presiding bishop. And Katharine Jefferts Schori won. Bonnie Anderson eventually did not run for re-election, was defeated, lost her authority, and the new president of the House of Deputies was another woman. But frankly, Gay Jennings is a nice person, but she's a non-entity.
Right.
She's non-entity in a political sense. She's no independent power source compared to the presiding bishop. And the presiding bishop in 9 years did not further the career of any other woman to step in her shoes. She had ample opportunity to put forward many of the capable women clergy from that wing of the church for leadership positions. Presiding bishop did nothing.
Well, hold on. She helped get Heather Cook into office and was there for the Oh, wait. There's the Heather Cook thing caused another person who would have been a nominee not to be a nominee. Where's the Bishop of Maryland, George?
The Bishop of Maryland right now is swearing to himself.
Yes.
When he's got 3 marbles in his hand and he's talking about the strawberries that are missing from the refrigerator. Poor Eugene Sutton was the odds-on favorite before the Heather Cook affair broke out to be the next presiding bishop.
Absolutely.
An intelligent, articulate, young African-American bishop who's just, everybody loves the guy. You know, Eugene Sutton even gave an inner-city Baltimore parish to the Anglican Church of Kenya to allow them to set up an African-based congregation. Now, did presiding bishop Katharine Jefferts Schori jump in and say, "Oh, border crossing in Baltimore"? No, she did. No. Eugene Sutton is not a great administrator, but he is a great figurehead and a very personable fellow. His handling of the Heather Cook affair, bishop who was arrested for manslaughter and drunk driving, was such that it poisoned any chance he had of being presiding bishop.
I think afterwards he handled it fine. I think allowing her to be consecrated and elected and not interfering when he knew something was wrong was the problem. I think politically he did all the right things after she was caught and after a person sadly died. It showed that he knows what he's doing, but he didn't stop something that led to somebody's death. Yeah.
Well, whatever the case, we don't know the inner workings of the committee. Someone who was an open candidate was not picked. However, another African-American, also with Baltimore links, Michael Curry, is probably the favorite to win at this point.
I would say him or Ian Douglas. It really depends on what the church is looking for.
Let's look at the 4 candidates.
Right.
You have one conservative, and that's Dabney Smith of Southwest Florida. Why do I call Dabney Smith? I've known Dabney since 2000. He and I had neighboring parishes. He was a rector of Holy Trinity in Melbourne. I was rector of St. Elizabeth's in Sebastian, about 20 miles apart. And we would have a weekly clergy breakfast. And Dabney's a nice fellow. He was liberal from the Diocese of Central Florida perspective, rock solid conservative compared to the rest of the Episcopal Church. But Southwest Florida has held the line on gay marriage, gay blessings, and he is a very nice, pleasant, he looks like your typical successful suburban golf pro rector. But he has a snowball's chance in hell of being elected.
So we're talking about hell in the church. Of course.
So when we discuss I don't want to say he's an unserious candidate.
No, he's a serious candidate.
It'll really be now. If all of a sudden Southwest Florida next week decides to allow gay blessings, we'll know why. But Dabney is a great fellow and would make a wonderful presiding bishop, and I'm sure he'll get the conservative votes in the opening rounds. He's not going to be elected.
No. But
the race is down to Curry and Ian Douglas.
I agree. I think, if you're looking for somebody who's smart, who can deal in the future with the Archbishop of Canterbury, Ian Douglas is your man. He is clever. He's very smart. He's articulate.
Let's back up a tiny bit. We've got first of all, I would say the Joint Nominating Committee did a really good job. You have 4 people. two with 20 plus years parish experience before they became bishops, two with 20 plus years experience as professors at seminaries.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got qualified people compared to last time around. You've got, in other words, people whose resumes are outstanding from a church perspective. You have 3 liberals and 1 conservative. You have 3 Democrats and 1 Republican. You have 1 socialist. Ian Douglas is a socialist. I was reading at the General Convention. When was it? It was about the one 6 years ago. I was reading a book to sort of pass the time, and it was a novel, one of William F. Buckley's novels,
Mm-hmm.
and Ian Douglas came up to me and we chatted, and he joked about he thought it was entirely appropriate that I would be reading a William F. Buckley book, and he proceeded to tell me that he was a socialist, and I believe him.
He is. I remember once he watching
political socialist.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a European socialist.
Sure, he was at a discussion once at one of the general conventions, and he comes off as very intelligent.
Because he is very intelligent.
He is very intelligent. Now, what is the Episcopal Church looking for in the future? If the Episcopal Church wants to go into the realm where they are friends with and are going to use the Archbishop of Canterbury as a force to reckon with, whom are they going to choose?
Well, Ian Douglas has been on the Anglican Consultative Council and its standing committee for a number of years. He was in the 2008 Lambeth Conference Planning Group. Ian has long experience in international Anglican affairs. He knows the Archbishop of Canterbury. And frankly, Ian would be ideal from that international perspective for the Episcopal Church. For instance, Ian Douglas allows depot. Bruce McPherson.
Yeah, I mean, this is Connecticut news. You get to talk about Florida. Here in Connecticut,
I'm sorry.
That's right. Here in Connecticut, we have, if people remember, the Connecticut Six Churches. 6 churches that stood up to Bishop Andrew Smith some time ago and said, listen, you went to Gene Robinson's consecration, you consecrated him, we are no longer in communion with you. Of those churches, one of them is St. Paul's Darien. If you guys read the Darien Miracle or Miracle in Darien, you're familiar with Terry Fulham and all those teachings. They were one of the 6 churches, and they said, over time, we're going to try and leave. Well, Ian Douglas, the genius he was, says, you guys want depot? I give you depot. And he gives him Bishop McPherson as depot.
Bruce McPherson retired to Western Louisiana.
Right. They said, okay, hold on. No. We're going to go a step further, trying to push Ian Douglas. We want Bishop Murdoch of the ACNA, Diocese of the Northeast, to come and have ordinations for some deacons and a priest at our church. Okay, whatever. Bring them on in. No big deal. So there's nothing that would cause a fight with Ian Douglas. And that's kind of the genius to the point where it doesn't look like St. Paul's is going to leave at all. And the rector of St. Paul's stepped down this year.
Yep. Now, so what does that tell you? Ian Douglas is not a cold warrior like Catherine Jefferts Schori. No. He may hold the same theological opinion. Well, I don't want to say Catherine Jefferts Schori has theological opinions, but if she thought them through, yes, she would arrive where Ian Douglas is. Mm-hmm. Ian Douglas is a progressive Christian. He's brilliant. And I believe he truly believes that Jesus Christ is his Lord and Savior. The way he articulates these beliefs, I don't agree with him. But unlike Greg Venables, former presiding bishop of South America, who once famously said Catherine Jefferts Schori is not a Christian, I don't think anyone would say that about Ian Douglas or Michael Curry or Tom Breidenthal or Dabney Smith. We're in a different world right now. But theologically, Ian Douglas is on the same page as Catherine Jefferts Schori, where she would like to be.
Sure. But let's move on now to Michael Curry. We just went through President Obama here in America. We took the youngest senator, we made him president, kind of parallel to what we did with Catherine Jefferts Schori, took one of the younger bishops and made her presiding bishop. We kind of see the folly in that. But is the Episcopal Church ready for an African-American presiding bishop? I think so.
Well, Kevin, you have to remember in 1997, Herbert Thompson, also of
right.
Southern Ohio, was an African American, and he lost by one vote to
One.
Frank Griswold.
That's right.
So Frank Griswold beat an African American, and the African American that time around was a conservative. Fast forward to 2015, Michael Curry would be an outstanding candidate even if race were not on the cards. But this being America and race is always a subtext, that will be an added bonus to his candidacy. He still is qualified.
Yes.
He's not Michael Curry is not a token candidate the way Katharine Jefferts Schori was. I can remember all the hoopla of, oh, the first woman has been elected, and it doesn't matter who this woman is or her qualifications, it's just the chromosomes that counted.
Oh, now you're talking about Hillary. No, I'm sorry, that's Catherine.
Michael Curry happens to be African American.
Yeah.
And that is an added plus to his resume, but it's not the reason why people will solely vote for him.
No. So, but it's going to be the summer of maybe some race riots. There's been a lot of race in the news for the last year, almost a year and a half now. Whether it's in Florida, where you are, Missouri, California, now in Baltimore, we're going to have to see if some of that may have some leanings in the election for the presiding bishop.
Well, Michael Curry happened before when he was elected bishop of North Carolina. He was rector of a big Baltimore inner city parish.
Yeah.
So Michael Curry can actually speak to these issues. From a hard-nosed political angle, as a conservative in the Episcopal Church, Michael Curry would probably be, of the three likely candidates, be the best bet. Simply because race is Michael Curry's issue, not sexuality the way it was with Katharine Jefferts Schori. If all Michael Curry does over the next 8-9 years is talk about improving relations between blacks and whites and minorities in the United States, the pressure is off people like me, because we can agree, we can disagree, but it is not the sort of thing that would cause schism. You're not going to see dioceses walk out of the Episcopal Church on the election of Michael Curry.
No.
Because, frankly, it's a sort of thing that if we want to keep him busy, we just will hope for more race riots.
Okay.
Tom Breidenthal is also a seminary professor like Ian Douglas. He is about 8 years older. So if he's elected, he's would actually have to leave, I think, a year early because he would max out at 72. So if the church is looking for a caretaker liberal, that's who they would pick. Now, some of our viewers and readers may remember the Buddhist bishop controversy.
Yes.
There once was a reporter for a magazine called The Living Church, whose name was George, who broke a story about a candidate for the election as Bishop of Northern Michigan, who also happened to be a practicing Buddhist. And this man was blocked by the House of Bishops from becoming a bishop. And one of the people leading the charge against the Buddhist Bishop of Northern Michigan was Tom Breidenthal. So Breidenthal is a creedal Christian. He may support gay marriage. He may be totally in tune with the theology, the spirit of the age, but he is somebody who does not cross his fingers when he says the creed. And I wouldn't say that about any of the candidates. But if you look at how they're stacked, Douglas is the youngest. Breidenthal is the oldest. Dabney Smith's the most conservative. Michael Curry is, if you will, the guy in the middle in all of this. And for people who are looking to have a peaceful next 10 years, Michael Curry's the choice.
Probably. All right, so on to why we don't cover all the hot topics out there. On the internet today, you're going to figure out, oh my gosh, baptism, Cathedral, Dean, Florida is the hottest topic. How could we not cover it? We have a policy here at Anglican TV, Anglican Unscripted, Anglican Inc., generally not to cover our own bishops or people who work for our own bishops as a courtesy unless it's really, really bad, and this hasn't reached that level yet, although there's a French saying. What is that French saying?
This was worse than a crime. It was a blunder.
Yeah, a blunder. And so, we would enjoy talking about things like that, but the two safest people in all of Anglican news are Bishop Greg Brewer and Bishop Bill Murdoch, my bishop. at which point they retire. They're fair game, but we kind of are under not this ministry, but we as individuals are under their ministry authority, and we just kind of keep things at a distance. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger, and you've been watching episode 177 of Anglican on Screen. Some sort of levity on that.
You don't need no levity. Anytime you talk about deflation balls, you gotta think of Tom Brady all the rest of your life. You know, one of the most macho men in football, who is married to some model who just retired. You know, that's just. Now the thing is, you have to enter Kraft Foods into deflated balls. Yeah, you know, it is what it is. 3, 2, 1.